everybody. Today we're going to go over the answers for the quiz that you took on Tuesday, which was Unit 6, which is all about the equation of a line, and it's lessons 1 through 4. So we'll just get started right here. Number one shows you a set of ordered pairs. You know it's a set because it's in these curvy brackets, and they're all ordered pairs. Two numbers, comma in between them, with parentheses on both sides. So if we have a set of ordered pairs, it's called a relation. It's called a relation. When we take that relation apart, and if we look at just the x coordinates, that would be the first number in each of the ordered pairs. So here we have a 9, then we have an 8, then we have a -4, then we have a 2. Those are called the domain. Notice that we put it as a set as well. So we have, those are the domain. If we were to do, which wasn't on the quiz, but if we were to do the 4 and the 3 and the 2 and the -1, those would be the range. Those are all the y's. Okay, how do we find slope? We count. What do we count? We are counting the rise over the run. So we're counting the rise over the run. If we don't have a graph, so we can't count, and we are just given 2 points, we can use the slope formula. The slope formula is y2 minus y1. For over, I'm just letting you put this little diagonal, which is also sometimes considered a division sign when you're doing things on the computer. So divided by x2 minus x1. These numbers here are called subscript. You've been using that in science. I know you should know that these numbers are called subscripts. They're smaller or below the letter that they're next to. Please, if you wrote it like this, I understand. You can't make a subscript. So if you wrote it like this, that's okay. But know that this does not mean y times 2. It's y2 and y1. It's the second y and the second, or the first y. Please be careful that you understand that, okay? If we were in the classroom and we were writing it on paper, you'd always write it like this, not like that. All right. I didn't mark that wrong, though, on the quiz if you put the 2 as regular size. All right, number 5. The slope is the same as the what of proportionality? The constant. If we get back to school this year, we'll probably talk about the constant of proportionality, but sometimes I'll just call it the constant. Just like I don't call you by your first and last name, I just call you by your first name. That's kind of how this one works. The other one is called the rate of change. So the rate of change, the constant of proportionality, and the slope, they're all the same number. They all equal each other in the same type of problem. Number 6. Number 6, if we are given this graph, we can find the slope by counting rise to the run. Remember, we always go from the left point to the right point, or you could pick another point if you wanted to, but I'm going to use these points that are here. So I go down, my rise is going down, that means it's going to be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I went -9, and I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I run 9. So rise over run. But now I have to simplify that. -9 divided by 9 is -1. So my slope is -1. Well, what type of slope is it? Well, look, it's going downhill. It's going down. Things that are going down, if that's my bank account, it's going down. Boo. That would be negative. It's a negative slope. That's one way you could have done number 6. The other way you could have done number 6 is using a slope formula. So here we have the 2 points that they gave you. I've already labeled them x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 is this minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember, x1 is -6. This minus sign is part of my formula. I still need the -6. Okay, this becomes plus positive, so what do I have? Looks really familiar, doesn't it? -9 over 9, -9 divided by 9 is still -1. If this is a negative number, my slope has to be negative. Something that I saw you guys messing up a little bit before. You would look at this and you would say this was negative, but then your slope number wasn't negative. If this is negative, your slope number has to be negative. All right. Number 7, if we were going to do this rise over run to do the slope, from this point to this point, how far do we rise? Well, we rise negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 5, and we run 0. So if I put the rise over the run, I don't want to be a bear killer. So this number is known as undefined. That's the slope. That's the slope. That's not the type. That's the slope. The slope is undefined. The type of slope, well, if I have an undefined slope, if I was on this mountain skiing, I would, this is me crashing down here. I would crash, I would have no life. It is a no slope, no slope. All right, don't leave that blank. The type of slope is actually called no slope. All right, so we can do the same thing here. We would do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That would end up being negative 5 over 0. Same thing. The slope is undefined because I don't want to be a bear killer. And the type is no slope. All right. Number 8. Number 8, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into using the formula. So we have y2, 11, minus y1, negative 3, over x1 minus x2. This becomes plus positive, so that becomes a 14. 12 minus 7 is 5. So our slope is 14 over 5. Number 11. Yes, I did go from number 8 to number 11. No, I didn't know it until just a couple of minutes ago. But you know what? Sometimes that's the way it goes. All right, so we have y2, 7, minus y1, 14, over y2, 33, minus, x2, I think I said it wrong, x2 minus x1. We get negative 7, okay, over, what is that, 9? So we have negative 7/9 because that can't be simplified. Could either of these be simplified? No. So this one is this one is this. This one is negative because when I subtracted it, that part was negative. If both of them were negative, if I had ended up with this over this, which I didn't, but if I did, well, those negatives knock each other out and I would be positive, but that's not the case here. Number 12. Number 12, you just had to, woo, bump the whole thing over. All right, here we go. Number 12, we just had to find the slope, so we just had to count. I'm going to go from this point right here to this point right here, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, rise over run. Slope is 1. Y-intercept, where did it cross the line? At 0. Pretty simple. Number 13, I'm going to use this point and this point to do the same thing. Remember, M stands for slope. M stands for slope. Maybe I'm too close. M stands for slope. So we're going to go down 1, so that's negative 1, and over 1, 2. So our slope is rise, negative 1, over run, and it's already simplified. Where does it cross the x-axis? It crosses right here. That point is at 1. So our y-intercept, which is known as B, is 1. Then you're asked, looking at these two, there we can see them both, which is proportional? Well, this one doesn't, number 13 does not go through the axis. So that, I'm sorry, goes through the axis. It doesn't go through the origin. So that one is not proportional. This one is proportional because it's both a straight line and The y-intercept is 0. It goes through the 0. And that's all there is to it. Email me if you have questions.